Hey folks, here are OS Reviews. You're watching our video first look and a quick review of the YLVV. This is a interesting car-shaped wireless optical mouse which uses a standard 2.4G receiver that you plug in onto a computer. It comes with that included, and it works with any Mac or PC. Both are supported, and it's a simple plug-and-play solution, so no drivers are needed. Also comes in a few different colors. We picked up this blue version here, but you can find it through Amazon.com in the links below for only about $8 with free shipping, so it is very inexpensive. I'll talk about the design in a moment, but otherwise the company claims it's also kind of modeled off of a Ferrari in terms of the shape. It is made out of plastic. The car's wheels do move, so it does kind of replicate an actual toy in terms of the feeling. It's a pretty standard shaped mouse, even though it isn't, overly large. It also isn't too small. It's not a tiny micro mouse, but still reasonable. You can definitely carry it around pretty easily, I'd say. And the company also claims that it has an anti-jamming functionality in terms of the overall fit and finish of the keys, as well as the scroll wheel. And it works with most surfaces and has 16 wireless working channels, and it also automatically detect itself, and it can also be used as a car. So for kids, they can play around with it. So checking out the design of the unit next, I'm also going to compare, I guess, with some other toy cars I might have around. So having just two quick little molds and shapes, you can see how it stacks up in terms of the shapes. Definitely is about the same size as an actual toy, but this one is made out of plastic as opposed to metal, which is typical for kids' toy cars like Hot Wheels and so on and so forth. Next to a phone, you can kind of see the dimensions as well. Here is a Galaxy S3, so you can see that it is reasonably small. The overall fit and finish feels, again, plasticky, so it isn't the most premium mouse in the world. It seems a little bit cheap around the corners, but it is highly lightweight, which might be a pro if you're traveling and you don't want to take too much with you. But you can see here that it has headlamps as well, which will kind of cast a glow once the device is powered on. I'll show you that in a moment. The scroll wheel feels pretty nice. I can also click on it, of course, to select things. It's made out of a soft touch rubber material, even though it could be a bit more, I would say, mechanical in the sense that you can just tap on it and it has more of a mechanical action to it, but this really requires you to have your finger on it at all times. Otherwise, again, the casting here seems to be pretty good. The detail work seems to be pretty good. It uses just that standard laser optical tracker on the very back, and it has a few different extra feet as well, which allows it to slide more easily on a hard shell surface. It's not going to be the best if you have it on a piece of glass or a very shiny surface, but on a desk or maybe on a piece of paper, it does work just fine and seems pretty accurate as well. Again, no drivers are needed. You might be thinking that there isn't that USB receiver. You can kind of hear it rattle, and that's because you have to take it out of the shell first. I'll quickly mention that the mouse didn't come with any instructions, so setup can be a little bit confusing at first. However, the plastic windshield basically slides off the top of the unit and reveals in the inside the USB adapter. It also has two places for the batteries. It takes two AAA batteries, which are not included, and something to keep in mind. When you're done, you simply slide this part back into place, and it stays put rather well and fits the form of your hand quite well too. It's again not a really full-size mouse, I'd say, slightly smaller, but also not tiny, so it should work with most folks, but it's going to be better for kids and people with slightly smaller hands. I'll also say that when you're using a mouse, the wheels themselves don't tend to rotate too much, which personally I think is a good thing because it prevents the card from kind of sliding around, so it stays quite put. But if you physically twist the wheels, they do rotate individually, as you can see. So the wheels do move, but again, if you are having it on a surface and you kind of push it back, there isn't a spring that will allow the card to move on its own. You can see that when the unit is the batteries are inserted, the entire mouse is basically turned on. There's also an on-off switch in the back if you want to save some power, and then it just pairs after a few seconds, and it's pretty quick. So we're going to show you guys a quick demo, I guess, after plugging this into a quick Windows-based tablet of how the performance is. I'm going to plug it into the USB port on the very top there. There we go, and after a few seconds, pairing should be processed, and now the mouse, as you can see here, will pop out on the screen. I'm just using this on a surface without a mouse pad, and it still is fairly responsive, not too jumpy. The actual left and right click keys feel pretty responsive, and it seems like it's going to work quite well. Pretty comfortable overall just to use it as a quick little mouse here and there. I can tap here also to look at my programs. The scroll wheels and everything seems to work just fine. So a pretty decent mouse to take with you on the go, and the receiver is also quite small, so it's very compact. It's not going to really interfere or take up too much space. So at the end of the day, I would say this tiny car-shaped mouse is an interesting peripheral if you're looking for something a bit different. $8, it's one of the cheaper mouses we've seen also for a wireless design. And aside from some pretty simplistic packaging and a lack of an instruction manual, which we would have preferred for the first setup process, I think we can recommend this one with 2 thumbs up. You can check out more details about this in our official written review, but this has been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS.